Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com. So let's say you're on AT&T, you're looking for an inexpensive smartphone that's not going to break the bank, and you've landed on the Samsung Focus 2 and the Samsung Galaxy Exhilarate, and you're trying to decide which one you should get. Android versus Windows Phone, but they're both the same price on contract, only $50, so which one should you go for? Well, that's what we're going to answer in this dogfight between the Samsung Galaxy Exhilarate and the Samsung Focus 2. Before we start, I have to say a special thanks to our friends at Best Buy Mobile. They sent us the phones that we add to our One Paw Bandit game, which is a game where you guys can win free phones. One of the great things about Best Buy Mobile is that when you buy a phone from them, you don't have to worry about rebates because the price on the tag is the price you pay. So thank you, Best Buy Mobile, for being so awesome. Thank you guys for watching this video. It's a dogfight between the Galaxy Exhilarate and the Focus 2. I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com. Let's get started. So if you're on AT&T and you're looking for an inexpensive device that's still going to have good features and offer good performance, the Focus 2 and the Galaxy Exhilarate are two of your best options. There's a lot of cheap phones out there that look cheap and perform cheaply, but these two phones are really the best of the best in this category. They're both $50 on contract, but they have some great features. In a lot of ways, they're very similar. For example, we look at the front here, the display. It's the same on both phones. You have a 4-inch Super AMOLED display. Same resolution, 480 by 800. Super AMOLED, it looks great. You're going to get bright, rich colors, great saturation. For some people, they don't really like the AMOLED displays because the colors are a little more bright and not quite as natural, but still both of them do look great in the same size. So in terms of that, you got a bonus on both phones. Neither one really beats the other one. Other hardware, kind of similar, same size as you can see, but I do have to give it to the Focus 2 for having a much more attractive and unique design. First of all, you can see it's white and the Exhilarate is black, but it also has some nice metallic accents here. It just looks a little more unique and modern, whereas the Galaxy Exhilarate is very monochrome. You can see it's all one color. There's nothing really about it that stands out. It has this hump on the back, which I don't really like or understand. So it's not unattractive or ugly, but it's just not. It doesn't look very unique, whereas the Focus 2 definitely has a much more polished and modern design. But hardware differences aside, the main area where these two phones differ is with the operating system. The Galaxy Exhilarate uses Android 2.3, it ships with version 2.3, and the Samsung Focus 2 is a Windows phone, and it ships with Windows Phone 7.5. Now a lot of this is really just personal preference. Some people prefer Android, some people prefer Windows Phone. A Windows Phone is more minimalistic and simple. You can see the home screen here. You have a grid of tiles. These are live tiles, so they'll update. You can see for my email tile, it tells me the number of emails. We do the same thing with messaging or any phone calls. You can see the calendar, weather. So it still has some nice functionality with the live updates, and also different apps have different functionalities for their live tiles. It just depends on which app you're using. Still very useful, but it is very simple, and so here you can scroll over and see all of your apps. But again, very, very simple and minimalistic. Android, there's definitely a lot going on. You still have kind of the same idea with live updates. You have weather. Here you can see I have an email widget, my music widget, a Twitter widget. But it's definitely, there's a lot more going on. It's not as simple, but at the same time you can have more. You can have multiple home screens. So again, kind of depends on which one you prefer. Also, Android is more customizable, so you can change virtually everything, starting with simple things like the wallpaper or customizing the dock, different things like that, all the way down to making it look completely different. It's just a very customizable operating system. If you like that, some people don't like the customization. Some people just don't have time, or maybe don't care, or maybe just like the way Windows Phone looks, so they don't want to customize it. We can go over here to the email client, kind of get an idea again, minimalistic, and then Samsung's email client. So here you can see this email client. Of course, you have Gmail also installed, but this is Samsung's email client. So kind of just get a nice idea of the differences between these two operating systems. And as we go through this dogfight, you'll be able to see more differences between the two OSs, and I'll point them out as we go along. But going, if we go here to messaging, now because they both have a 4-inch display, the typing experience is pretty much the same on both of them. However, again, going back to the customization of Android, you have the option to download custom keyboards if you'd like to. So you can see here it comes with the Samsung keypad, the Android keyboard, and swipe. But then in the Google Play Store there's several other virtual keyboards that you can download. Whereas with Windows Phone, you're using the Windows Phone keyboard and you can't change that. That being said, the Windows Phone virtual keyboard is the best keyboard I've ever used, and I've used a lot, in working with multiple Android devices and downloading keyboards and trying all kinds of them. There's some really good ones in the Google Play Store, and there's some ones that work very well. Just in my experience, the Windows Phone virtual keyboard, it just literally is the best virtual keyboard that I've ever used. So you can see, type out the quick brown fox. Jumps over the lazy dog. So see, I made one mistake there. If we do the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So, of course, this is just one example, and people's typing methods, they kind of differ, but it really is, in terms of its auto correction, it really does perform the best. In my personal experience. You'll also notice the differences between Windows Phone and Android. You have these nice transitions going from portrait to landscape mode. Kind of a nice little transition there, very smooth. And then on Android, for one thing, it's kind of just blocky, but also it doesn't immediately respond all the time. And this is another advantage of Windows Phone, is that it's very smooth. The transitions, they're always great, there's no lag, and so it's kind of nice to have those. Kind of makes it a little more aesthetically pleasing. But that's a quick look at the messaging interface and the keyboard. Again, I'm going to say the Windows Phone virtual keyboard, it's the best that I've ever used. Now, I touched on performance just now, and so we'll talk about that. The Galaxy Exhilarate, it has a 1.2 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S3 processor, so a dual-core processor, and then the Focus 2 has a 1.4 gigahertz single-core processor. So you got single-core compared to dual-core. The difference there is pretty obvious. For the time being, Windows Phone does not support multi-core processors, so 1.4 gigahertz, that's pretty much the best that you can get right now. It's hard to compare the two in terms of scores and numbers. A lot of times with these dogfights we do benchmark tests, but because they're different operating systems, the scores just wouldn't match up. And a lot of times, the benchmark tests are available for Android, it's just not on Windows Phone. So we can't do scores, so I'll basically just have to tell you based on my personal experience. Again, Windows Phone, very smooth. If we go to, for example, the gallery, you can see all these transitions, they load very well. Go here, zoom in, very smooth. Even with a single core processor, you can see how smooth that is and how good the transitions look. Android, the Galaxy Exhilarate actually does very well. It's very smooth. That dual-core processor does a great job. Go to the gallery here. And it also has a gig of RAM, so it just helps even more. We can load this and zoom in. So actually, there we go. So you can see, again, very smooth. The transitions just aren't the same, and this is something that you could see there going from the gallery back home. Maybe this is a minor thing and it's something that I personally appreciate, but it's just the transitions with Windows Phone, they do just look so much more attractive than with Android. Sometimes it's just kind of blocky. We go from here to here and it's not always smooth. Definitely much better on Windows Phone. But again, doesn't bother everyone, but Windows Phone definitely does a much better job with that. Now, in terms of apps that come pre-installed out of the box, you can see on the Exhilarate, we've got All Share, Amazon Kindle, Family Map, AT&T Navigator, featured apps, Keys, Air, Live TV, Media Hub, Memo, Messages, Mini Diary, Movies. Get a lot of My AT&T Quick Office. So there's a lot more pre-installed apps. You can uninstall some of these, but then some of them you can't. And so it kind of just depends on which ones AT&T decided to let you uninstall. On the Windows Phone device, you have a lot less. You have some AT&T apps here that also come with the Exhilarate. You have, and of course, the usual Samsung Now, Office, of course. But you can uninstall all of these. Any app that comes with a Windows Phone device, you can just uninstall out of the box, do a long press, and uninstall. So kind of a difference there. A lot more apps pre-installed with the Exhilarate, and then you can't uninstall all of them.